Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Fans Power Podcast. I am Nathan Kennedy. I am here with Tyler Baker and Joe Amato. And Joe wanted me to start the show off because it might be a little inconsistent. We might drop a few frames. It might look kind of shitty, but you guys are used to Joe's video setup anyway, so you know what's going on. I don't know how this is going to go. The audio is probably going to be fine, but it'll probably get really jittery on the video. So we might have to, at the end of the day, just pre-record these and then upload them to the YouTube channel ahead of time. Right now, it's already looking kind of not great. I might go into the settings and try to adjust some stuff here to maybe make it better, or maybe it'll stabilize after some time. We'll see. So you guys bear with us. And hope you guys enjoy the show, guys. How's it going?
Doing just fine here. We'll make do, and if we decide to go to pre-recordings, we'll still do fan questions. We'll just have to do them a week later, but we'll still honor all of the things. Hell, if you a long listen to this podcast, we used to pre-record these things back in the day on Skype, so we're kind of coming full circle here. So it's nothing we're not used to, but if you're new or relatively new to this podcast, it's just, it won't be as convenient in terms of interaction and stuff like that. So, but we'll make sure everybody that was there, I'm sure Joe will acknowledge every Tom, Dick, and Harry that's in the chat room. We'll answer all the questions. And yes, I am wearing a shirt here tonight. So if people have a lot of remarks about me wearing a shirt, we can get to that as well, but we can't see any of it right now. So.
And as for me, my computer has crashed, so there is no computer in front of me. I can't see any of the comments or anything that's going on right now. I was even having internet issues. Also, when we went to Skype, for some reason, when I'm using the headset now, I can't hear you guys through the headset. But when I speak, you guys can hear me through the headset. But if I switch the options and I can hear through here, you couldn't. It's all backwards. I don't even know what's going on.
Yeah, I think everything's just going to be kind of... It's a transitional period, so I'm already getting the thing here that says video output low, which is completely expected. OBS is just it's a weird program, and I know there's a StreamYard thing, but they have like a pay setup, and there we go. It's already like dropping to like 0 and bouncing back up. So,
God.
Yeah, this is going to be a clusterfuck of a show. So I mean, honestly, we're probably going to look at just pre-recording these, and then I can premiere them on YouTube in the same time slot, and we can still have the chat room interacting with everybody, and kind of go from there. It might make it a bit easier in the long run.
Yeah, so we'll just start doing that from here on out. There's no sense in doing this for 3 straight weeks of trying to make this do. I mean, do we want to still try and do a video here, or should we just stop and do a recording?
I mean, that's up to you guys. It kind of just goes backwards and forth.
Yeah, because you said they could still hear us, correct? But just the video is...
Yeah, the audio aspect of it should be good. How about... I don't know. I honestly, I really don't know. I mean, we got...
Because I didn't know. I mean, you know how my video always sucks anyways.
Well, yeah, but the video for you now actually looks pretty good, at least on my end when I'm looking at. But obviously, they're not gonna get the same thing. Like it's dropping pretty good. And
can you see? Just to let you know, or I mean, not to let you know, to ask. Can you see the chat room to see what they're saying?
I can see right here in just the video that's going on too. It's kind of like blurry and stuff. But we got Tags Media Animations, Zen Brown, Rick Poe, Sheflex, Fedbon, Grim2. Those are the guys that have popped in. Yeah, it needs to be live video. Is only needed for certain images. Yeah, I agree, but if it's going to be like this the entire time, what's the point of even... Like, if the video's not going to be smooth, then...
Kind of defeats the purpose, so...
yeah.
All right, we'll just... As long as... Because Erica's... She's listening right now, too, and she said she can hear us great, but just the visual side.
Yeah, the video's going to be...
Okay, all right, well, then we'll just... All right, we'll just have to... just enjoy the audio and not worry about it. We appreciate people who watch the videos, but starting next week we'll have a better video for you. So just buy into the audio for this week, and then next week we'll have a much more better presentation for everybody. So just appreciate the audio and try to ignore the visual as best you can. So.
Yeah, well, like you said, we'll figure out things. It's just it's a learning process, anyways. I mean, if we were to, like you said, just do it to record videos and upload them, or if we were to, for a while, just do audio so we still interacted with them. But we'll see what works best. But yeah, at least, like you said, we're on right now. So, well, Tyler, what kind of new news did you hear? What's going on? And then we could get into our other topics. But we'll see if there's any recent stuff.
It wasn't necessarily news, but me and Erica went to go see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which was not as good as I hoped it would have been. And there was a trailer for a piece of shit called Charlie's Angels, which they're remaking that. And in that is the guy who's been cast to play He-Man. And to see the guy who's been cast to play He-Man on the screen, interacting, I'm like, oh my God. Like, this movie's doomed. I'm just looking at this putz that is just... visually, regardless, like putting on weight or whatever, he just does not have the face to be anything remotely close to anybody that's in the universe of Master of the Universe. Like visually, the guy just does not look. I mean, physically, I don't care how good a shape he. I mean, he's just going to have a face you want to hit with a shovel. Like he's just going to have that kind of face that fans are going to like. God, I just want to smack the shit out of the guy. I don't care if he's a nice guy. He looks terrible as He-Man. So just seeing that, I'm like.
I'm gonna have to interject real quick and say that I actually did. I enjoyed Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Yeah, I get that. What was your main complaint? Is that the story there wasn't like a goal in mind?
And I'm not a fan of Tarantino's work. I've told Nathan this; he's known it for years. But I really like the idea of kind of like what I thought was supposed to be like a behind the scenes or docudrama of the film industry in 1969 that during the backdrop of the Manson family murders. And the acting is great, but it was just a clusterfuck of stuff. It's just things that just don't go anywhere. And I know Tarantino loves to jump back and forth from past to present in the story that he's telling. But just from like you kind of don't really get invested in it because you don't know what to get invested in. And God, and plus, he did what he did with Inglourious Basterds, with how they end up like killing Hitler and the Nazis all in the theater. He kind of goes that route with this if you haven't seen it, which kind of feels like
I just went along for the ride. I liked it. And that's the thing. I feel like if you don't like Tarantino shit, you're not gonna like this.
I really thought it was going to be an interesting film. I genuinely did. I was like very excited to see it because of not just because of the cast, but I thought it was an interesting idea. And God, I think within 30 minutes, I was like, man, this movie's just a bore. It's just you can't get into it. There's nothing to get excited or invested in. It's just stuff happening. And I mean, at least in Kill Bill you're working towards something, and in Inglourious Basterds there's trying to take down the Nazis. This is just stuff happening. But my point is that Charlie's Angels had our upcoming He-Man, and I'm like, God, he just does not look like someone I would want to see running around on screen as a leading man. And he was playing some schlub flirting around with one of the girls.
Let me really quick as well, because I'm going to change one setting, but I'll probably have to stop streaming real quick and then restream. So this will kind of probably break up a little bit, but I think it'll work better the way that it was before. I thought I would just change something and see if that would help, but it looks like that it's not doing that. But it's also confirming that I think, guys, kind of going from here on out, we'll probably just record the video itself and then upload it to YouTube so everything looks smoother, because this looks horrible. So I will do this real quick, and we'll get it booted back up, so you guys hang tight. It'll take like 2 seconds.
Doesn't know where to stop. It's just running all over the place. And just no coherency at all, no flow, just stuff.
I hit stream again. So we're back up.
Okay.
Hopefully that will just connect everything. But Tyler, I will agree with you on the Charlie's Angels trailer. God, why are they doing that?
Yeah.
But yeah, you see him and you're just like, yeah, this dude is he. We'll see where it goes. But I'll go ahead and bounce out, and I'll just kind of mute my mic, and I'll let you guys get to what you need to, and hopefully this will start to. It already looks like it's running a little bit smoother, so maybe it'll maintain that. I was just messing with a lot of settings and trying to figure this out as best I could, but it actually looks pretty solid right now. Maybe that'll work better for everybody, and it'll be new and improved. All right.
All right.
Have a good show.
I'll
be back for questions.
All right. But that was Joe.
Yeah. Oh, can you hear me? I'm hoping.
Yes. Yeah. There was like a brief lag there, but yeah, that was my current news, and I've just been told that I need to address my sleeve or why I'm not wearing a tank top tonight.
Okay.
Erica issued a friendly challenge to see if I could actually come on here and wear the shirt that I was wearing this evening. So, all right, challenge accepted here. So I expected. Apparently, there's a lot of remarks in the chat room. I think people are up in arms. They're making remarks. I don't know if they're upset with me. They're mad at me. They're like, "Oh, I can't see his arms. I don't know what." Oh, look, he's covered up his arms. Thank God. I have no idea what's going on. But I was told to address the issue. So I'm honoring her her challenge to me. So next week I'll be back to classic tank tops. But people are wondering why. That is the reason why.
There you go. Okay. No, I didn't even. You know, what's funny is it's things I guess I don't. You know, like you said, I guess a lot of people like joking about the tank tops all the time. For me, I don't even think about it. It's like, oh, here's Tyler. We're talking.
Oh yeah, and that's why I feel like if people had watched the podcast in the early days, like I think there were times where I was wearing a shirt. I've done it before in capes and commentaries, but I really think it's people who watched it and made it. I just wear them out of comfort, and it just kind of grew. And you know, it's like, oh no, you don't wear it because you're comfortable. Like, yes, I do. But if you're going to say other things, then I can't stop saying that. But
like, would it look weird if I didn't have the scarf on? I never really thought about that. Does that look awkward?
No.
Does it look like I'm
no? You not wearing a mask.
Joe, I gotta put it back on.
I'm just curious. Like, does your father know what you look like? Does your sister know what you look like? Does your grocery store clerk, or anybody at your local clerk, do they know what you look like? Do the people at McDonald's, do they know what you look like?
I'm used to shades and a hat or something, so I still got it.
Are you dressed up like Tom Hanks in Philadelphia? You wear the sunglasses, the hood, the scarf wrapped around your face, and everything, and all they can see is there is someone of Caucasian amidst all this clothing here who's trying to order a number 5 at McDonald's here. So
do you imagine if I was at a bunch of conventions and I'm actually interacting with people see me, but they still don't know it's Joe, so it's like, I could have been at San Diego Comic-Con. Maybe I was at a PowerCon. Maybe I'll be at PowerCon, but well, you already know that ain't gonna happen.
Oh, we know you, as cheap as you are. Like
yeah, ain't gonna happen.
Even if Mr. Staples himself bought you a first-class ticket in a whole row by yourself, you ain't got to share a seat with anybody. A nice hotel room, you get security into the building so people don't see you coming in, so they don't like, that's him. You still say, I'm kind of busy, man. I mean, I've got this memoir thing I'm writing here. I've got to go criticize Nathan and Tyler how they play Turtles in Time, and I can't do it, man.
That's right. See, you know me well. But well, as for the new news that I could think of, the only thing is Super 7 tomorrow is supposed to make the announcement about Thundercats, and we're assuming to be about classics. Now, what I've seen in multiple groups, it's the rumors. I don't know how much is actual official, but they were saying that maybe they were going to show or at least announce about what was going to be in the next wave, where you'll have Tigra, Slythe, Jaga, and Groon, and I thought they said something along the lines of they don't have the rights to use Mattel's molds for the other figures, so I don't know if that means there'll be a new Lionel. I mean, I'm not quite sure. Again, that's speculation of just things I've seen in groups. I don't know if that was official, and I didn't know if you've seen that post anywhere of the one I'm pertaining to.
The only thing I saw was what Kevin tagged us in, so I went to their Instagram page and saw like the image, and that's it. So, I mean, hell, it doesn't even say classics, but San Diego, when it was brought up on camera with Pixel Dan, it clearly sounded like classics were the thing they were looking to try and reveal. I really can't see Super 7 wanting to go back and re-release the figures that were done by Mattel a while back just to get people another opportunity. I kind of feel like those are not too hard to find on the secondary market. Hell, some online toy stores have even still got them in stock to buy. So, I mean, they're not that hard to find, but, you know, people love to charge out the ass for anything that's current like this stuff. But I see them just trying to pick up where left off where we're supposed to got Jaga and Groon. And I like to think, well, and then I don't know if they're going to do 4 at a time because Super 7's always done like 4 figures at a time. But I like to think that if this announcement is saying, hey, we'll be doing Thundercat Classics, that they can at least try and, of course, we know what scares me is anytime something Thundercats related like that's good is announced, it's immediately taken away. And I just feel like it's just been this curse surrounding that property. That it just something and I almost feel like, is it Warner Brothers? Is Warner Brothers always the culprit that's pulling the carpet out from everybody that's enjoying this line and says, you know what? We're gonna take away the rights. We want too much more money or some shit like that. And I'd like to think that whatever they announce is a plan of longevity, that it won't be like 4 more figures and then they're done, and not something of their fault, but just something that Warner Brothers or Mattel decides, they're going to get back in the game, so delay it. We'll do a line and launch that in like 2 more years or some shit like that. You know, I really, really hope that it's a sign of like, okay, we're going to do these first 4 figures. We'll have a pre-order open towards the end of August. And then we'll have the next 4 announced at the beginning of 2020 or something like that.
It'd be nice,
yeah.
A roadmap, yeah, exactly. Letting you know the 4, like maybe the next 4 could be Chitara and Linkso, Bengali, or I mean, well, did they do Linkso yet? No, I've got to see now. Okay.
We would need Chitara, we need Tigra, we need Snarf, we need Linkso and Bengali to complete the Thunder. And Jaga, of course. But then I want them to close it. God, we have to. Oh my God, I want a monkey in so bad in Classics, I can't stand it. And a Ultraman, a Rotaro, the Lunatics, the Berserkers, Safari
Hachiman.
Joe, Hachiman, Captain Cracker, Captain Shiner. I mean, it's such a long list of just, figures from the line, the actual toy line, let alone characters that appeared in the animated series. So there's some longevity.
To have a consistent, like you said, possible roadmap of, every X amount of months, something, because, it's kind of all up in the air. It's like, okay, we know Funko did the Savage World ones, and I told you, some people didn't really flip over them. Some people liked them, but others were expecting the other 4. It's like those are in limbo. Like, is it because possibly the Thundercats licenses with Super 7, and maybe that's why Funko can't do these? Or is it, regulated to certain size? I don't know. I don't know the things. But
I am quite bothered about that, why there was never any kind of announcement. And I know, like, if that's the reason, I wish Funko would release a statement that they can no longer, even if they can't say why, just tell us they're not coming. Because I kind of, it's unfortunate because there was such excitement when those figures were announced. Like, I never saw a negative comment about any of that stuff. So I'm like, I don't
figures that we were waiting for, and then now no Conan, because is it because they're doing Conan 6.5-inch ones? But of course that's based on the comic style, not the movie.
Yeah,
what they're doing 7. So it's like, I'd still think that, well, Funko, they should be able to do the movie ones, but again, we don't know, and it's kind of terrible when things can be left in limbo. Like you said, an official statement could kind of help, but maybe legally they can't say this stuff. I know nothing about the inside.
But at least just tell us you're not doing it. Just tell us that. That's what bothers me, is that if you can't continue this line, just I get the whole business standpoint that these people are bound legally to not disclose the reasons why a lot of the stuff never comes to fruition. But if it's been canceled, just issue a statement, even if it's just 3 words on Instagram. This line is canceled, or 4 words, and then then we can speculate and do what typical fanboys are going to do, which is come up with theories and bullshit and do all these videos. Find out the reason why the Funko Thundercats line was canceled. Check out my video because I've got the inside scoop. No, you don't. You're just an asshole with an opinion. And I just give us something. Just let us know, is it coming or not? And that's what I really thought there was such possibilities with that Funko 5-inch line with Thundercats, and
Yeah.
what they could do with that line, of course, with Conan and DC Primal Age. Like, could we get like more DC characters in that kind of style? It's unfortunate that all they're going to be churning out now is just shitty pop figures.
Yeah, because I was into every one of those 5.5-inch figures
I
they
was
were releasing.
too.
And it is, again, sad to see that, I don't know, maybe it's coming to an end. Don't know, but hopefully it won't come to an end. But, yeah, well, at least Thundercats, like I said, you can expect some kind of announcement tomorrow. So hopefully it'll be something good. And that's pretty much, I think, all the recent news. But now if you want to go into some of the topics, I didn't know if you want to start off with maybe our character profile, which would be on Shadow Weaver, which we could discuss this character that has always been a frightening, intimidating, well-written, beautiful-looking design of a character, but not somebody that I want to sympathize with. Meaning, that's something they're doing in the new She-Ra show, which just has me...
Oh, wow, that's a shocker.
Okay, I mean, yeah, it's a new thing. It's like, we have to sympathize with her and pity her, and, oh, will she maybe join the Princess Alliance? Like, I don't want this stuff. What is this new direction? I think they even announced this for, like, the upcoming Black Widow movie. There's a person that's writing on the movie, and she said that what she wants to do going forward is make it to where there's more sympathetic villains and less action. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? When we, as comic fans, as cartoon fans, as anybody that's always loved, these comic book movies, cartoons, anything, we like our action adventure. We don't have to pity every villain, but when they're outright saying it, and then I even see it in the new She-Ra, it's like, there's just something going on with this new generation. I don't get. It's like, why do we have to pity everybody? Can we just have somebody being evil for the sake of being evil? So I'll let you start off. Let's get talking about somebody, the original evil Shadow Weaver, not this new one. But go ahead, Tyler.
Yeah, because otherwise, if you hadn't pulled me in, I would have ran the gauntlet again of why Hollywood makes shitty villains, and fans shouldn't be okay with it. I don't think fans should be laughing at Loki. They shouldn't be laughing at any Marvel villain, any DC villain, any Star Wars villain, and sure as hell nothing should be funny about the villains in Master of the Universe, and that includes Princess of Power too. It just shows you how clueless that staff is when it comes to their knowledge or character portrayals of that show, because they just see it as, oh, that's old, and I felt like, well, then you got the brain of an ice cube. You don't pay attention to things, and
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but you just said right there. A lot of times they say it's old, and that's old stuff. We don't do that no more. Well, how about this? Leave our old stuff alone and write your own new stuff, and let's see if everybody just clamors and goes to it and gravitates and says, "Wow, look how amazing this is." It's like, take a chance on a completely brand new concept, cartoon, comic, anything. Don't touch our old stuff that's, oh, it's just terrible, and then put your spin on it that nobody likes.
Yeah, because if that were the case, they wouldn't be making movies and merchandise for a movie that came out in 1977. Oh, but it's old though. Yeah, but yeah, just take your ball and go home, asshole. Shadow Weaver is to me, she's a character that I know has been somewhat explored in her past, and I would disagree that should ever be. And I think that for most of the He-Man villains, not to say that some couldn't benefit from a little bit of a backstory, but that's what makes. I mean, we're doing this right now because these characters. Look, if the Princess of Power cartoon and the He-Man cartoon were so shitty, I don't think the vast majority of us adult men and women would be celebrating and talking about it and purchasing it on DVD and maybe one day Blu-ray and doing, fan art and fan edits of this and that and discussing it if it was that bad.
If we were so, again, didn't mean to cut you off, but if we were so sexist, we wouldn't be talking about Princess of Power and all the beloved characters that we have loved all these years, and like you said, kept alive and alive through fandoms of websites, Facebook groups, and a lot of other places on social media. If we were so sexist, we never would be talking about it. But we loved it back then because it was just a great cartoon with great characters, told an amazing story, and how could you go wrong with that?
No, it's just one of those things where I think a lot of the issues is people are all about the moment. And the moment is now, which is why people turn a movie that's going to be quickly forgotten within a month or so after it comes out, but it's the moment. Like this, I have to be here. This is one of the greatest things I've ever seen. And within a month, you've forgotten that you even saw it. It left no impression on you. There's no revolving door that brings you back to it. You're not researching about it. You're not pining or thinking about or theorizing about sequels. Like, no, okay, move on to the next big thing. I think that's the mentality, and that's why they're not looking back at any of this classic material that, I think a lot of people would even say that we do this a lot too, and I think we clearly are guilty of it, but we dissect a lot of these stories and these characters to such levels that when the people who wrote this stuff, and Robbie London pretty much said it, he never really thought about it the way that we're thinking about it. But we're the viewers. We're looking at it completely different than what the writers and the animators and such had intended at times. But it just shows that if we're pointing this stuff out, and Shadow Weaver is a prime example of a character that's shrouded in mystery, the less said about her, the better. Because a character that is cloaked up, much like my co-host, makes them mysterious, and you want to know more about them. But if you're given insight, it can never be as exciting as what your imagination come up with. And a character like Shadow Weaver, she benefits so much from not knowing that much about her. Like I'm fine with the fact that she was like, buddies with Castaspella when they were young girls, but becomes corrupt by ultimate power. I think that's a simple storyline. I like that, but that's it. I don't need to know about her previous relationships. I don't need to know about the in-depth friendship with her and Castaspella. Like, that's unnecessary bullshit. It's more fun. That's why Darth Vader was so much more fun when you didn't know not much about him, because of the mystique of the character. The same thing works for Skeletor and Shadow Weaver herself too. And even as a kid, you did wonder at times what she looked like, but it was never something I really thought about that much, because her presence was so frightening on screen. The way Melinda Britt did her voice was such a. I'm pretty sure it was Melinda Britt that did her voice. But anyway.
But it's what you said. It's what's left to the imagination. Meaning, even when they showed her, like you said before, she was Shadow Weaver. And remember, it wasn't the cartoon where she was called Light Spinner. That was from the UK stuff.
Yeah.
And the UK magazines. That's when we found about Light Spinner. But you're right. When we seen in the Filmation cartoon, when she was, you could say, in a human form, even then she had like a veil.
She's veiled up. Yeah.
It was genius. Like you said, it's like, you don't need to, give every bit of a backstory. You just found out that, yes, she got corrupt and that jewel, and just the thought of if she would have got the full power of that, it's like, my God, she's already so damn powerful. But if she would have got all the full power of that jewel, she could have been unstoppable. But I also like what you said. Sure, you kind of wonder, what's behind that veil? What does she look like? But just the reaction from the kid when she lifted and you seen from the back and he's seen her face in horror, it's like, that tells it all. That shows this is one horrific looking creature that you don't need to see. You just knew from his reaction that's bad. And plus, our expectations are so high of what we wonder what's behind a mask. And when you see it, you're usually left like, oh, that was it. You get a picture if they would have showed her like, oh, there's Shadow Weaver. It's like you said with Darth Vader. When that mask came off and you seen that weird face, I remember thinking, huh? Even as a kid, I was like, oh, that's weird. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see what Shadow Weaver looks like under that, behind the veil.
Yeah, and obviously, as kids, you don't understand the logic in that. You're shown something you're not given the complete, full answer to, and you're like, I must know. But even with Orko, like when you watch Dawn of the Dragoon, and in silhouette and shadow, you see him reveal. You kind of see the shape of his head, which was a nice touch. And yes, it was like, oh man, so close to know what he looks like. But then we go about our lives. Like, I was not consumed by it. I enjoyed and appreciated that bit of mystery there. And it's just something that these current writers just either, I'm sure they have some sort of nonsense PC bullshit logic behind why we need to make Shadow Weaver a sympathetic villain, as if and I really feel like that's become such a trend today. And maybe it's easier for people to feel like they're adding something special or unique by making all the villains, they're all redeemable. which I kind of felt like, well, then they're not really villains. You know, and I heard James Earl Jones say about playing Thulsa Doom and Darth Vader, and pretty much addressing how people play villains in cinema in general, is that if you have fun with the villains, you take away their credibility. This villain has to truly believe in their motives, and that if they're doing this particular act towards some peasants, if they're burning this family alive for not paying their taxes, you have to follow through with that, and they believe that they're doing the right thing, but that's what makes them the villain. You can't adding these layers, like it's cute every now and then, and occasionally it will work, but it's overflowing our stories today. I don't know if they do it in comics because I haven't read a good comic and God knows how long, so I have to read all the old stuff. And you know what? Reading old Amazing Spider-Man or old X-Men, the villains are villains, and they are set in their ways. They're not changing, and the only way they're stopped is if the heroes kick their ass. And that is it. And you know what? Reading stories, comics from the 1970s and 80s, hell, even the 60s, are far more entertaining than the stories they're telling today because, you know, they're troubled or they're complicated. Like, it's just, it doesn't benefit any of us to know that they are scarred by something and that we really just want to give them a damn hug. Like, it's not entertaining.
What's funny about that is just, you know, you speaking of villains, which of course always will transition me into like the horror movies. It's funny how you can portray things because exactly what we said, if you have a sympathetic villain, you can look at characters differently. Meaning, when Halloween came out and when I was a kid, right from the start, Michael Myers, I was like, my God, this is just like an unstoppable killer. He was evil. That's it. No explanation. Even from the start, they didn't go a whole backstory about him in the original Halloween. Just a kid that just decided to, bam, kill his sister. He's standing there with a knife. Years later, bam, he's on a killing spree. And it took many, you know, movies later to say, oh, A Curse of a Thorn, which pissed a lot of people off. Like, oh, now we have an origin.
Myself. So
yeah,
this is
exactly.
stupid.
And then Freddy Krueger. Evil just to be evil. Of course, later on you find out, oh, and he got burned and they took his kids away or his daughter away and all this sympathy. It's like, I don't want to feel sorry. But here's what's weird. Jason, my favorite horror character, I was never really scared of him because from the get-go, you find out that it was this boy that drowned. He wasn't being watched and you felt sorry for him. So for me, here's what's weird. Jason, every time I seen him from the first, you know, from part 2 where he started being the killer, I was like, kill them all. It's like I felt sympathy for him. I was like, this poor kid drowned. And isn't that weird? It's like you said, you give sympathy to some, you get a whole different interpretation. So Jason, to me, is, I told you, in my head as a kid, he was never a villain. For me, he was like this kind of hero. I've always said my heroes growing up, as bizarre as it was He-Man and Jason. And it's weird. So that's why, yes, when you want somebody evil, I just want an evil character, you know, like Freddy and Michael. I wish they would have just stayed evil and not then later on, oh, let's give a reason why they're evil. It's like, oh, now I feel bad for you. I don't want to.
All right, two things to attach to that. Is Jason a villain when he kills that poor girl on the side of the road eating a banana?
No, I just can't help it. I couldn't help it. Even as a kid, no, it's just like she just got it. That was it. It's just
no. So even though she's minding her and hoping someone would give her a lift somewhere, and he just puts a knife through her throat, you still thought, well, she had it coming. I mean, you know.
You know what's in my head? I always thought, you're at his place. He sees you as somebody that like killed his mother.
Yes, but this is on the road. This ain't at the lake or anywhere near it. This is way down the road.
It's a bad thought, but yep, for me, Jason was just never a killer. I felt so bad for him. See, and that's what I don't want. It's what I was just saying. I don't want to have that.
All right, what about his name's not Paul because he was the lead counselor, but the guy in the wheelchair in part 2.
Oh, the one that, okay. I did feel bad when he got the hatchet in the face because he was in a weird. I did, okay. I did feel bad for him.
Because I'm just saying, look, you know, playing what happened to Jason in part 1. Yeah, and this is tied in the Shadow Weaver, people. We'll try and bring it back to the Shadow Weaver here. This was not intended. This is just the rabbit hole that this podcast is constantly creating for itself.
Yeah, but, speaking of, just evil.
Yeah, but I can understand that, you know, the people that were neglectful of Jason in the 60s that let him drown, you know, I understand like them being held accountable and that some of them were murdered. Not all of them, but it's safe to say at least 2 of them were killed and not really the rest of the counselors. But then after that, trying to reopen the camp, Mrs. Voorhees loses it. Okay, I get that. But like part 3, he wanders to that convenience store and kills the couple running the store. What the hell for, if not just being a villain? There's nothing to sympathize with Jason in part 3 at the beginning of that film. When they're nowhere near the lake, he just wanders around, you know. Even if he's just wanting food, he's got to kill them first. Like people who are minding their own business, work at a mom and pop store, they get killed. You cannot defend that or feel sorry for Jason when he's going around doing stuff like that, though. That's what makes him a villain.
No, you're right with that one, but just unfortunate with me.
I have to keep going down? Can't you just say you love the character for what he does? Like, don't tell me that you sympathize with this character.
I just used to always feel so bad for him. So
God,
it's terrible. But yeah, so like I said, that's the bad thing that can happen is sometimes what can be put in your head. But yeah, that's why I don't want any sympathetic, type of villains for Shadow Weaver. That's why, it's weird when I think about Evil Lyn and Shadow Weaver. I remember Evil Lyn, I always thought, my God, this is somebody that could probably, even if Skeletor was taken out, Evil Lyn's somebody I felt like she could take over and be the leader of the evil warriors. But there was at times, like especially like with the Witch and the Warrior, when I thought, oh, she's working with Tila. This is kind of cool. In my head for a second, I thought it'd be different if she was a good guy. But as for Shadow Weaver, I've never got that feel. I never had that feel of, man, I'd like to see her be on the side of good for a second. I always thought, I just want her to be pure.
Visually, that looked just completely wrong. Like, and you said, well, why is it different if He-Man and Skeletor teaming up or She-Ra and Hordak temporary or something like that? Shadow Weaver, like, just her visual alone permits her from having anything positive to do in terms of, like, a brief team up or something like that. You can't look at that character. Like Montana, I could almost get away with in the cartoon because he's played the full, and there are times because of Hordak slapping around, you do kind of feel sorry for him at times. But then I think for one of my favorite episodes, For Want of a Horse, which is my favorite Shadow Weaver portrayal, where I feel sorry for Montana, and then he turns on She-Ra immediately. And I remember as a kid, like, poor Montana, but like, then he's going to attack her? Like, oh, man.
Right.
But in the moment, I did feel bad. But I sure as hell did not feel bad, or like, But I know from there on out, it's just only that one episode. For the most part, Montana is an asshole, and that's the way he needs to be written. But Shadow Weaver is someone that should never be a redeemable character, someone that should never be tempted by returning to the side of good. If you could even say she really was, because all we know, at least all I know, I don't know everything that was in UK books because honestly, I've never actually read one because I don't have access to an actual hard copy, but they are available to read on He-Man.org, and I've always been too lazy to go through them because they're rather lengthy books. So forgive me for UK fans or people who've read those if I missed stuff. But God, where the hell was I going with this?
I think you were just basically saying she's somebody that should always be evil. There should never be
there's factor. It's just something that for a brief team up, and then it's like, what, I can't, and then it's like at the end of Witch and the Warrior, where Evil Lyn, instead of attacking, she just disappears, and they kind of say, well, that's kind of her way of saying thank you without actually attacking you. Like I would never ever, and I didn't see I saw parts of Witch and the Warrior as a kid because it was on TV, but I never saw it in its entirety until I was in high school. And I can appreciate that to a certain extent, but kind of like in the Cold Zone, which is the kind of forgettable last episode of the series where Cobra Khan comes to ask for He-Man for help. So you're led to believe that maybe Cobra Khan is maybe turning over a new leaf, to help his race of people, the Reptons, when really, no, he's out for himself. He's just duping He-Man into helping so he can enact his plan there. If you're going that route, I'm cool with that. But it better not be something that's not reprimanded at the end of it. Like, if you were going to have Shadow Weaver in any episode or in a story, and she's fed up with Hordak, and not giving her credit, and kind of like in Shadows and Skulls, where she gets fed up with this shit and decides to team up with Skeletor. And she decides like she's out, at least to sell the audience that she's out, and goes to try to talk to the rebellion about, like, look, I can't do this anymore. I would rather dedicate my power to something better. All just as a guise to get the rebellion to buy into this and make them more vulnerable, I will go along with that, because that makes her an even greater villain, because she's gone out of her way to prove loyalty just to give them the finger and reveal the Horde bat symbol all along. Like, I'm fine with that, but when that episode of story is over, there better not be like the shot of her like turning and looking at the Great Rebellion, and then turns, lowers her head, and goes back to the front. No, none of that bullshit. Like, it has got to be, she is a bitch and she's proud of it, you know?
Yeah, she's somebody, again, you're right. Unlike a lot of the Evelyn moments, which, there was others like in The Save Skeletor. Remember when they were inside Castle Grayskull, Evelyn had a little moment where she shot one of the...
But she clearly did not stick to it, though. Like, I like how in The Save Skeletor, she kind of begrudgingly helps the sorceress. And when Tila says, thanks, Evelyn, it won't happen again. Like,
right.
That's keeping her reeled in from letting her get too far of like, oh, well, she could turn good. Like, no.
Exactly.
I don't want to see that.
Right. And that's
the temptation is fun, though. Because you admit, like you and I both, when I saw that, I thought, oh, man, like, that's something special. But I like that it's teased. But in the end, Evelyn gives them the finger, too, because her loyalty is to Skeletor and to evil.
Oh, exactly. And that's what's always great about those moments is you wonder, could she maybe try to do some more good? But then they go back the other way and she, you know what? It's better off, yes, stay evil. But that's the thing. I'm glad. I wouldn't want those moments with Shadow Weaver. I just always wanted her to be this evil woman with all these amazing spells. That voice, it was a frightening voice, too. As a kid, it scared me. Unlike this new voice, won't even speak of. But that's what I mean. Let's just have villains be villains how they should be and used to be, and it can still be done, and you can write them very well if you know what you're writing. But Shadow Weaver is a character that, yes, greatly loved and respected back in the 80s. This new version, I don't know what's happening with it, but yeah, we just wanted to do a little discussion on Shadow Weaver, at least the Shadow Weaver of how great she used to be. But,
yeah, it's just, I really just think it comes down to people just really don't know how to tell or how to use classic storytelling. And some of the best stories that are still available today. You think of all the classic fairy tales like Jack and the Beanstalk or Snow White and Seven Dwarves or Little Red Riding Hood. The villains are villains in all those stories. Like, they're not the wolf, whether he eats Little Red Riding Hood's grandmother or hides her or whatever. He is trying to devour people, and there's no hiding that. And the giant, Jack and the Beanstalk, is going to kill Jack once he gets a hold of him for stealing his stuff. The witch in Snow White poisons her stepdaughter. There's nothing redeemable about that.
Right, and that's the thing. With those stories, it's pretty much cut and dry. A beginning, middle, end. Whether it's a movie, bam, it's over. Back in the days with what we said, one-off episodes or the mini comics, a beginning, middle, end, that's it. But they're so focused these days on always having the continuity, which we've spoke about this a million times. Like, yes, in NYP they had continuity, but you could still have one-off episodes that you could enjoy without thinking, do I have to watch episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? But what they're doing nowadays is they're stretching the story. A story that could have been told in one episode without having so much fucking just blah, blah, get to the point. That's what they're doing. It's basically like, for example, the new She-Ra. 6 episodes. It's like they're stretching one episode out into 6. It's like that could have been one episode, but because it's 6, they're like, look at the great story they're telling. It's like, no, they're just dragging this out. It's like you could have had all that done right in one episode. Don't try to fool everybody about saying, oh, but now this She-Ra right here, she's not one-dimensional. She has a background. It's like, yeah, she had a background in the original Princess of Power too, but you didn't have to drag it out through 93 episodes. That's what pisses me off. Like, don't confuse, continuity and dragging out a story as being great storytelling, because you're just telling the same story, but you're dragging that shit out beyond belief. But I just had to say that. It's like I said, continuity sometimes pisses me off. So
yeah, and that's why I kind of feel like people don't understand continuity, and I'm not a fan of. I mean, because so many, and I hate to bring this up again, but it's another prime example of like the Marvel films are so damn long when. You could tell some of the best films that have ever been made have been made in an hour and a half or 2 hours or just under 2 hours. And now they feel like they have got to hit the 3-hour mark or just under that to feel like they can tell a compelling story. Like, no, dude. If you know, good script writing good storytelling in general, you can have a great film. And hell, the first Turtles film is less than an hour and a half, just under an hour and a half mark. You know, Ghostbusters is just under 2 hours. Predator is under 2 hours. Jaws is just 2 hours. And these are all older films, but I can give you a whole slew. It's just a small sample of classic filmmaking and storytelling that's not drawn out for 3 hours, or in this case, a lame ass story is drawn out over the span of 9 episodes. And I know with Netflix too, you're getting it all at once. But, even with MYP, not every episode connects to the next one. There are drops and seeds of things that connect. But overall, most of the stories were, I think the longest part that we had was the Council of Evil that led to The Last Stand, which is technically a 3-parter. Then after that, it was pretty much, 2-parters at most, and everything else was individual episodes. So you don't have to have this ongoing thing in animation. I know that's kind of the common thing, like Stranger Things and a lot of great shows and things like that. Cobra Kai, Game of Thrones, until it sucked balls at the very end. But I just kind of feel like, you shouldn't feel pressured to make it drawn out like you're saying there. It just kind of feels like it better be one hell of a story, like a story that you can't tell. But that's the purpose of having so many episodes. Because it almost feels like these seasons they're dropping on Netflix are dropping pretty frequently. I mean, last fall, the first season dropped. Now we're on season 3, with less than a year since the first season dropped.
And they're getting shorter and shorter. Each season is getting shorter than the previous one. Like I said, to me, though, it's just, I find it sad that they always say, well, this is what kids like. And I'm like, no, this is what you keep delivering to them. Have some faith in that this new generation of kids can use their imagination, because these stories that they're telling, it doesn't feel, like I've told you before, it doesn't feel fantasy at all. It's like they're just taking real life issues here on Earth and throwing it into there and boring us. I'm like, this is just boring. It's dragged out every episode. It's like, oh, she got grounded. Oh God, the poor thing. Oh, Shadow Weaver, why am I not good enough for you? And then Hordak with, oh, I'll show Horde Prime I'm good enough for him. I'll be able to.
For God's sake.
Accept me. It's like, I don't want this pity, and I don't. Why is it? It's just it's all these real life issues. It's like, you guys have lost what fantasy was. We're not seeing any engagement of great battles and powers and amazing creatures and landscape. It's like nothing. It's like, it's just boring. But it's sad because they keep, the excuse they always go to is, that's what kids like. It's because that's all you're giving them. Please try to make kids have their imaginations be wowed. Give them something to where they can really fantasize, like, wow, I wish I could live in a place where I could be flying on this creature or using this power or having this ability. But they don't get that. And it's sad. But exactly. So that's why we wanted to give some good talk on Shadow Weaver, something about continuity, old good storytelling, and
slamming the current Shiva show like we do every week. It kind of becomes like a thing we do on the show now.
No, yeah, they like it, good, but yeah, just ain't my cup of tea. But well, I didn't know. Did you want to talk about? And it won't be a giant discussion, but we've never discussed the Menace of Multibot.
Yeah.
Didn't know if you want to start off.
Yeah, it's an okay mini comic. Jim Mitchell's back doing the art, which I'm not a fan of his. He makes, like I said, Hordak look like a guy who lost his teeth.
Would you say Grandpa? Is that what you said the one time? He was like an old
yeah. It's like, he kind of reminds me of the tortoise and the Tootsie Pop commercial. Hey, I never made it without biting. Ask Mr. Owl. Like that's kind of, I'm not saying to be funny, but just the way he draws Hordak's mouth is just like, I mean, it looks decayed. I think that's what they were going for, but I don't find him to be that threatening. But I do like the idea, even though I've never been much of a fan of Modulot drawn like the pint size look. You kind of feel like, at what point in production, from the figure to this, like Modulok is depicted as this kind of pint sized dwarf character almost, but then you see the figure and he looks like an upright, 6 foot tall, creature.
I honestly can't remember. I thought that the original concept art of Modulok that that was created, that Modulok you've seen was based off of the original concept art, but I might be wrong, so don't take my word.
I think typically most of these things are, even Multibot is very similar to the Filmation look and so a lot of the concept drawing. So I'm sure that's probably where it came from, even though I don't think I ever came across that, but I'm sure that's what it was. But even that I just
quote me.
yeah I'd be willing to bet that was probably
I enjoyed him, to be honest. I always said I thought he looked very creepy, that version of Modulok, and I told you he reminded me of the Critters. I mean, not Critters, I'm sorry, the Ghoulies.
Ghoulies.
The
Ghoulies, yeah.
Yeah, they were just, I was always into horror stuff for me. I was like, God, these are some scary little suckers. But and again, I like this version of Multibot, and I also like the, not saying I wasn't that it sucked, but Multibot in the cartoon is like, it's kind of cool. He was more Transformer-ish, different, but this one, it was weird. I like the concept of this being that, Modulok created that won't stop. Every time he gets destroyed or something, he comes back, and unlike a human being or a living being that could get tired, Multibot couldn't. And, what the hell could He-Man do? Because I remember reading it as a kid, and how it was first started, I was like, what is He-Man going to do? And then you find out the little kind of, I guess, the easy, quick way that he just, gets rid of them at the end. But I did like this kind of unstoppable aspect of a being fighting He-Man that He-Man couldn't take out easily. Because usually, He-Man's going to bam, punch somebody, take something out quick, that's it. But with this Multibot, this version, I like where they're going. Like you said, there's only so much that they, could do in that one issue, but I'll let you go with your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a fun kind of by the numbers depiction of Multibot, because I mean, for the most part, he's the one doing most of the fighting. It's not like he's thrown in the mix with the rest of the horde and kind of there and as part of this fight. Now the book pretty much focuses on him for the most part, and he's depicted quite strongly too. Like he comes out, takes on Cyclone and Tila, just takes them out, and I mean, He-Man struggles against them. And what little the story provides it, but it's not a cut and dry, drawn out like He-Man shows up at the very end of the battle, dismantles them, and hey, I've saved the day because friends help each other, kind of thing.
And also a cool little underplot from Modulok, because his whole thing is his scheme was once Multibot would take out He-Man, the next thing that Multibot would take out would be Hordak. I was like, I like that.
I like that too, and that's kind of it's a fun thing to see that, and I wish I had Multibot as a kid, because I definitely would have appreciated that aspect of Modulok, because I only saw Modulok on the back of the Horde mini comics that I had as a kid, like Hordak's mini comic. Like that's the only time I ever saw Modulok ever was on the back of that mini comic. So when Multibot came along, it just God, I'm like I'm saying shit, and I'm going nowhere with it. But I think the villains are portrayed quite strongly. They definitely beat the hell out of that first batch of Horde comic. Well, just those two, because Grizzlies was great, and we know Hordax was a masterpiece. But in carrying on with that, I think this is it's a fun. I'm not saying it doesn't deserve to be like in the top 10. I won't say it's that good, but it is. It's a simple story that gets the Multibot character over as a legitimate threat and villain. And plays up Modulok a little bit too, like he's turned on Skeletor, and now in here he's plotting to turn on Hordak. So I like the fact that Modulok is a self-indulging villain. Like he will team up, but he has plans of his own, and I like that.
He's always a favorite of mine, not only from the mini comics, but obviously the toy as well. I quite enjoyed Modulok and Multibot. Like I told you, and plus it became the only childhood photo I have of me with any He-Man stuff is me holding Mega Beast. When I put Modulok and Multibot together, I was just so fascinated about the concept of that interchangeability, but also just playing off of these being kind of two kind of sadistic and strong little creatures. It's weird. It's like memories come back. I really did play with those figures quite a bit, but yeah, this mini comic, it made you wish there could have been more of Multibot, because you didn't get too much more of them, and I would have liked to see them in some other kind of prominent roles or mini comics, but fortunately got thrown to the wayside, and I don't think many people even. I mean, hell, in the fandom, I don't really see many people talk about Multibot almost ever.
No, but everyone is pretty familiar with him. And that's just one of those things about this property that why I get so fed up when it's just the same damn characters over and over again when you've got a library, and it's literally a library of heroes and villains that have really not been brought to the forefront and given a like legitimate attention, given a fair shot in terms of like, you know, with merchandising and stories and things like that. They're just like to have multi-bot. Like I would, you know, I like to get, you know, like a multi-bot artwork, like that one that Joe put together from like a He-Man versus Cobra. I'd like to have that on a T-shirt or something like that. Yeah. But just in general, there's just legions of characters that should be used a lot more. And it's an awesome concept too that Modulok is, you know, it's kind of hard to picture him. You know, you look at him like this guy's a scientist, like, or this creature is a scientist. But when you watch him in action Filmation, because I didn't know that until I watched Mistaken Identity and Happy Birthday Roboto, that he had
with that Galen Nightcroft.
Yeah, with Galen Nightcroft. Like I had no knowledge of that because in the Modulok mini comic, it's not really played up the whole like scientist aspect. But I think it's an interesting idea that he's, you know, like the Horde's like chief science officer, kind of like Dr. Mindbender is for Cobra, and creates this robot in his image and hopes to, you know, possibly, you know, usurp the Horde. Because I could see Modulok being a legitimate leader as well, like someone that's, you know, if Shadow Weaver's not there, like I could see Modulok easily running the show because of his intelligence. And if he's creating technology and has a knack for it, I mean, hell, he could create anything in that Fright Zone that could put Grizzlord, Montana, and Leech in their place, shut Catra up. You know, it's just, I feel like this guy plays his mentality down a lot, and would really be like, I mean, now that's a story that would be fun to see, is like this drawn out story of Modulok planting seeds here and there and using multibot to kind of gain everyone's trust, but he's really like recording thoughts and conversations that are going on with other people around the Fright Zone, reporting it back to Modulok, which gains him all this information and knowledge of how he can take the throne and usurp Hordak and gain control of the entire Horde or Horde on Etheria himself, and, you know, say, the hell with Horde Prime, I'm running the show here. I mean, there's just so much fun stuff you could do with that character, man. Go ahead. Sorry.
Two quite different versions too, because what's funny is I love the mini comic and the cartoon ones just as much, but like you said, in different ways, because the one from the cartoon, he does look like somebody that could lead the Horde, whereas the one from the mini comics, I don't get that vibe.
No, me neither. No.
You get a creepy vibe. Like, this is one weird sadistic little creature that gets split, can make things, but he doesn't feel like a leader, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I would agree with that too. Like, because I honestly, I don't care how you write him. I mean, not just because he just doesn't come off as imposing as he's depicted in Filmation and the action figure stuff. I mean, not to say that you couldn't have a small character, you know, be like a leader, like I think of Monteague from Castle of Heroes from season 1, but I don't think of the unnamed one from the, you know, the shitty trial in the character. Like, I just, no, get the hell out of here. But I just, for Modulok, he's got to be a much more formidable size, as if like he could, not that he would, but if he had to, he could go into combat one-on-one with He-Man or any of the other villains, because he looks physically imposing, even though that's not his greatest, what's the word? His greatest attribute, his intelligence and science, or knack for science. Like, that's what makes him such a villain, but he looks imposing.
Yeah, like you said, it's also how you carry yourself, because yes, it's the Filmation version. I mean, it seems like he's a little more calm to where his thoughts are, but when you look at the one in the mini comic, all I could envision that if he was in a cartoon would be these two little parts crawling around, sneaking around things. You know what I mean? He doesn't look like he would have this kind of imposing, competent, and confident kind of way of leading. I mean, it's like you said, it's not saying somebody that's smaller couldn't, but it's just, he's creepy, he's different. But yes, the Filmation one, it's just, he's portrayed perfectly and does look like he could be a very competent leader.
Let me ask you this then. Of the versions, because we've got 3 of Multibot, we got Filmation, Mini Comic, and the figure. what do you see as being like the one that's, if they were to, a new series like from a comic book, an anime series, and Multibot is going to become like
I wish they'd go off the mini comic,
the
because
mini comic version.
I felt like the mini comic version just looks like that could be one hell of a threat compared to where in Filmation he's transforming a lot of weird things. It almost seems like he became simple-minded at times, or at least the way they portrayed the robot. And as for the toy's fun, but I don't know, maybe because I never had any life to it, to like whether I'm seeing it animated or seeing it in a comic doing something. I had to use my imagination for the toy, but I really do enjoy the mini comic version of him because he looks like it could be an imposing and threatening villain that I would love to see it, like expanded upon and maybe drawn differently, like you said, whether it's in a cartoon, but maybe go off of that a little bit more. I do like where they were going with the mini comic.
I kind of feel like the mini comic version is like an amalgam of the Filmation style, because you've got like the gold head that was used and they had the mouth that would move, the Filmation, but you've got the green skin kind of humanoid right head with the black helmet, much like the action figure, which like he's got like a kind of like humanoid face attached to this robotic body, and this other head is completely robotic as well, almost as if like Modulok took part of a human being, or not a human, but a creature or a humanoid of some kind, and attached their head to this, which I almost feel like, where the hell does Modulok get this green creature? And it's like, I want to use that as the extra head on my robot that is an homage to myself. Like I've never actually stopped to think about it. Like that's just something I'm like, why not make, because Information is completely robotic, like the whole thing. But with this, there is some human it is human aspect. So I'm just kind of, not that I'm saying it needs to be explained. It's fun food for thought to think about the concept behind that.
Sure. All right. Well, that's our discussion on the Menace of Multibot. Or, oh God, did I just say that right? Yeah. I was like, God, I thought I was like, did I just screw up the name of the mini comic?
I feel like there's a lot of mini comic books that have got like the Menace of this and the Menace of that. So yes, it happens a lot. So yeah, you're good, dude. All
right. Now, I'll be honest, because I couldn't remember what we had in front of us. Are we still going to just mention our top 10s? Were we doing that for this episode?
Well, if you've got it.
Because my computer crashed. I had notes. I was going to go all in depth, and I can't go in depth like I wanted, which pisses me off.
Damn it! All right, we'll postpone this again.
No. If you want, maybe.
No. If you got yours,
damn, I'm pissed.
All right, just because I made notes on my phone, like because
I made notes on and then like I said, my computer crashed and I can't elaborate, and I wanted to elaborate, so. We could at least save that for next week, and, well, my computer should be up and running.
All right. We're announcing here, moving next week, that we will be doing our top 10 episodes. And just to remind everybody, it's in rebelling against this top 10 release that came out way before the actual series was released in seasons, or in half seasons, back in the day when, By
the way, aren't they releasing the Filmation He-Man and She-Ra series again, coming up, the full series, for those who don't have them? Aren't they doing that soon?
Yeah, Universal is releasing it, so because they've got rights to. I don't know how the hell to explain that. Like they're tied into like movie rights or something like that too, but or cartoon. I don't know how, and I'm not even gonna try to explain it. But they are the ones releasing He-Man and She-Ra again on DVD. So if you've missed out, or you feel like the sets are too expensive to buy on the secondary market, you'll have another shot to get both series complete. And they haven't said if there's going to be like any new documentaries or stuff. Probably not. Probably just be the episodes thrown on. Maybe even recycled a lot of the bonus materials. But so that's coming. But yeah, I've always disliked this top 10 list that came out, and they're from 1 and 2. And I kind of feel like since season 1 had better episodes overall, I'll just say my list has more season 1 episodes overall, because season 2 just didn't have that many great episodes in it. But my list, it's not from what I like my personal favorites. Some of them are, but my list is made up of episodes that are more about telling the best He-Man story possible. Like like you're not going to find Return of Orko's Uncle because I'm such a fan of Azrog and Spydra on this list. I'm taking my personal approach and looking at it from like that was a really good story, or that's a really good action story, or that is the what makes up Master of the Universe. Like this is what makes it so compelling is this episode here. That's what I'm basing my list on.
Okay.
So
all right.
So we will do that as one of our discussions next week.
Definitely. And now we'll have to bring Nathan back in because I didn't know if
I'm right here, Joe. I've been here the whole.
All right, Nathan,
honestly, I've been here most of the time. In the chat, I was messing with audio sliders. I'm like, hey, how's this sound? And they're like, that's really delayed and sounds like shit. And then I figured it out kind of a little bit at the end, which I imagine that's going to ping pong back and forth as we.
Because you put Jimmy Connor on my head, didn't you?
I did. You got that text message. It actually looked really great.
Yeah, I just saw it.
It looked great. And I put Beefcake over there on Joe for a second, but like you could still see Joe. With you, it worked out perfectly. We're kind of getting in the chat. Joe, you were missed having your laptop there to kind of interact with everybody, and the more and more I start to see it, the more I do understand. And it's been kind of steady right here, so I say going forward we still attempt to stream because once I changed some stuff, it really did balance out and stay steady the whole time. So we'll keep going through this the way that's going now, and if anything pops up that kind of messes with that, then we might sort of revert back to just recording the video and uploading it. But I just want to say thank you guys for all the feedback, and I messed it up between the live chat and top chat that it had here, so I don't have the YouTube video actually open, so I didn't get a chance to see everyone that was in the chat, so I'm going to just be very all-encompassing and thank everybody that joined. But if you guys do have any questions, feel free to pop them in. Febmon, have you found any good tutorial about OBS? It's not so much about the tutorial part about it, it's just the setting aspect. A lot of it could have to do with my internet and having to set the bit rate at a different pace. I might have to go in the firewall and change some stuff. It's weird. It's strange how it just bounces back and forth. And to let you guys know too, because we're doing this in Skype through OBS, Joe and Tyler can't see me right now. So even if I were to, let me go ahead and add. Let me add existing. I'll go ahead and put myself on camera for everybody and put myself right here in the smack dab in the middle and make myself obviously way smaller. They can't see anything that I'm doing right now. I can give them the finger like I'm doing, and they don't know we can't do anything about that. They don't know what I'm doing because the way OBS works is it's taking my video source here. So if I'm using my webcam to show up here, then it will kind of not show me in Skype. And that's kind of what this is doing. So I'm going to go ahead and remove myself because I don't need to be on camera for any of this. There we go.
We're not doing this.
we're not doing this. So I'll be the disembodied voice like Legends of the Hidden Temple. But if you guys have any questions now, go ahead and throw them in the chat, and I will read them to these guys while I also read the weekly "How Well Do You Guys Know Each Other" from Brad Collins. The fans of Power trivia question for Tyler. In a desperate and scamming tactic to boost Fans of Power subscribers, Joe said he would unmask himself to the whole world in an episode. Instead, what happened?
He reveals a new mask. So he took off the old mask and revealed a new updated mask.
Yep, that is correct.
That is correct. All right, Chris Farley.
Yeah.
You gonna take off the clothes?
No. If I took my shirt off right now, it would be like this weird like sunburnt pattern on my chest. Because I didn't put on sunscreen because I'm like, we'll be out here for about an hour and a half, it'll be fine. And then I realized my bare torso hasn't seen the sun in about 2 years. And my shoulders and kind of like neck down got a little burnt, and then like my torso wasn't as bad, but it's just, I guess it was the way I was setting. It looks funny. It looks like
it'd be a perfect time for Emily to come back in and just right and back.
No, oh man, she actually like grabbed my shoulder today. I was like, oh, watch it. All right. Question for Joe: True or false? In episode 1 of Fans of Power, you and Brian talked about Wonder Bread He-Man in a segment. True or false?
I thought that was episode 2. I'm gonna say false.
That's true. You were wrong.
Damn, I thought we did it in episode.
I thought you
2.
were a true fan of Power, Joe.
Isn't that terrible? I don't even know my own fucking show.
Well, hey, you know what? During those times with Bozone, like, I don't want to remember. Hell, I mean, there's some goofy stuff I remember when he was on with us too. But it's, if you don't remember stuff that you did with him, believe me. I'm just curious. I wonder if Brad enjoys those episodes that where it was just you and Brian talking for a few episodes. Then I come on and Brian's cutting us off and just repeating what we just said over again.
Well,
I
will say this: the chat consistently were like, you should just interrupt them and say who's in the chat room. I'm like, no, they got a good flow going right now. I didn't want to. Even the chat was like, hey, they have a really good flow, but they're moving along way too fast.
I don't even know what time it is. I know nothing because
I don't have my laptop. All is lost.
Like we're moving along too fast. Like the video is moving so fast, or
no, just the podcast is moving so fast because I think like Joe gets so wrapped up in the chat room and what they're saying that it like Joe will toss out something too. It's like, well, tell Tyler what he thought about the Charlie's Angels. Why are they doing that again?
You know what's funny?
That's a legit question. Tyler, I watched... Oh, God. I don't even want to admit this, but I watched the trailer on YouTube. A month ago. No, I watched it a month ago, and then I saw it again, and when the trailer started popping up in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I was like, oh shit, here we go. I gotta sit through this again.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Yeah, it looks like hammered shit.
It's horrible.
What's so bothersome is if you see that piece of shit, all it does is sit there and like they're bitching about women are not portrayed strongly or competently in enough action films, and yet these women are still doing the cliche things that that stereotype women as action leads in this. Like they're constantly doing all these things that feel like, okay, you're trying to be like legitimate, tough action heroes, but you're constantly doing comedic female things, like almost you kind of expect like Melissa McCarthy to come walking in and fall through a coffee table at some point or something like that. You just kind of feel like you're not helping the case. Like if you're trying to make respectable and enjoyable action roles for women, they're not doing it. Yeah. Even with the full cast is nothing but women. Like all they're doing is like, this is why they're not going to be taken seriously, or it's not going to become a giant hit because you're constantly making it look like that if you're a female action lead, that you're going to be acting like, oh, well, we got to talk about shoes because, we're girls.
To me, I'm just like, why are we already remaking something that, like, didn't even come out that long ago, or it didn't seem like it did anyway? And it wasn't set the world on fire with those two films either. And we're getting comments about SummerSlam results. I guess Seth Rollins is the new Universal Champion, which cool, but whatever. Oh, and Goldberg beat Dolph Ziggler, so great.
That was a shocker.
Yeah, I imagine that match lasted like 10 whole seconds.
Any other Brad Collins trivia?
No, those were only two this week.
All that stuff.
No. When Brad Collins does those, it's basically a question for Tyler and a question for you, and you guys knock those out. I'm still not really like seeing too many questions, and like JSP isn't even here for a movie quote, so.
Well, good. No one to steal my thunder.
But
quote time bands again or something.
But I'll throw it out one more time. If you guys got questions about anything, go ahead and throw them out. I watched NXT Takeover, and that was good last night. Like, look at Tyler. He's like, this isn't He-Man related. I kind of just want to ask him more about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but there's kind of no point because I know he doesn't like Tarantino.
Hey,
so.
September 2nd, we got the next chapter of It, so at least that's good, September 2nd.
Yeah. That'll
I'll be going to see.
yeah, that'll probably be the next thing I go see as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So some people were asking like, because I popped in for a second with the third camera, they were kind of like, well, how are you gonna work like multiple people in here? And I mean, that'll just be as easy as trying to like shift this around, because they were also like, well, Joe looks a little squashed and everything, and I kind of like adjusted and moved it around to make it fit better.
Also, how I'm looking at it right now, that's not how it appears on YouTube, because like me and Tyler look normal. You know.
Oh yeah, no,
just,
yeah. You'll have to go watch it on YouTube after the fact. Adam Gabbard had a question. Joe and Tyler, would it be great to have the people, only 1 out of 6, each time as a guest to the Fans of Power podcast?
What?
Create a character for Master Universe Classic by this person. You might have to.
What was the question?
You might have to elaborate a little bit on that one. Tags.
Yeah, I don't quite.
Tags Media Animation had a question. How do you guys feel about the Ghostbusters movie that's being made?
Hopefully it's good. That's all I can say. I hope, but I don't like putting faith in everything, but I hope it's a good movie.
I mean, I've learned my lesson from, like, I don't care who you bring back or who is connected or who is attached to do a new film that's attached to a beloved series. And Ghostbusters is my top 5 films of all time, and I don't care that Jason Reitman is directing. He's the son of Ivan. It doesn't guarantee it's going to be good.
Right.
And I don't care, like, if Ivan Reitman signs off on it, like, oh, it's great. Like, that whole using people's names to sign off on a new film or a new take, it never works. It just buys the people who don't pay attention or really that interested. They're just the general audience. And then maybe they recognize a name or something like that. But that holds no merit. I would love nothing more for this film to be a great success. And, I mean, I'm staying hopeful about it, but I'm also like, after that piece of shit,
you didn't even,
Abomination
you didn't
that
even
came
watch
out.
it though. That's the thing.
I don't have, you know what? And I'm proud to say that. Whereas you just like, I Nathan, wouldn't you rather just shove a spoon up your ass and sit through that? Like, nah, man, I'd rather watch it.
I'd rather look at my asshole in the mirror for 90 minutes. Now, but it was bad. My opinion on it is, I want it to be good. The vibe that I'm getting is sort of gonna concentrate on a young group of kids, like siblings or something. From what I gather from the story, they're gonna run into an issue and the Ghostbusters have to be called. There's gonna be some sort of thing like that. I think if you can have a proper blend of like season 1 Stranger Things and the first Ghostbusters film, then I think it'll turn out all right. Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, I think once that first trailer drops, I mean, I think everybody who's working on this is aware of the backlash that the 2016 film got. So if there's one single working brain at Sony that remembers and realizes that, we've got
sure.
And that's
working brain at Sony. Way to go, Tyler. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Let's see. Sportimus asks, what are you guys looking forward to hearing from PowerCon?
Hopefully there's more to Mattel's He-Man announcement than just the little, here they are again. Buy them, everybody. They'll be out in another year. I'd like to think there's something a little bit more meat to the bone, because it just, and maybe Val got lucky and they've agreed to, showcase a little bit more there. But I mean, I hope there's something, but it just doesn't leave me too hopeful that Mattel is, it's like they're waiting for the movie stuff to get going so they can do a toy line just based on the movie and that's it. But I mean, God, man, there hasn't been a successful toy line based on the movie, including superheroes, since I don't know when. Toys based on current movies right now, they sit on the shelves, like from King Kong to Godzilla to anything.
Yeah.
DC or Marvel, they just sit and they clutter the shelves, and kids aren't buying them. Adults aren't buying them.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. I've seen the Godzilla figures from the new film. Just they're warming up. I mean, honestly, most of the figures that they put out when I go into Walmart or Target are just sitting on the shelves. It's Marvel Legends and I guess some of the DC Universe stuff that they put out that have a tendency, but other than that, everything else like Jurassic World did okay, but
I still see tons of those toys.
Yeah.
Just sitting on the shelves. It's one of those things that I feel like Mattel. That's what I really thought when they said you feel like they want to get back in this game, and that Super 7 won't be doing this, and that's why there was all these like roadblocks being shoved up. They prevent us from getting new stuff. Okay, that they're going to pull out all the stops, and we're going to give it our best effort. We're going to spend the money, and that's why that's it. This is all you got going, because I feel like that's why they're trying to make all this stuff kind of coincide when those toys come out. The movie is supposed to be a few months away. It's coming out in March. Those toys come out in the fall. It just kind of feels like they're just waiting on the movie stuff, and that to do anything else to keep the line alive from Mattel's standpoint is only going to rely on this movie with one of the goofiest looking guys that could ever be seen. I mean,
there's plenty of time for him to bulk up. Plenty of time.
But even with that, he's got the face doesn't work.
Hey, I get that, but at the same time too, the dialogue that he had in that trailer was not much. It was like what, 2 lines? You can't really judge it based off of that. I'm not basing his acting ability on that. I'm basing his look, his face, because that is what I saw. I'm like, the face does not say He-Man. He's just got a very goofy looking face. It doesn't say anything machismo. There's nothing that says He-Man in this kind of smushed, goofy face. It's just, it's wrong. Yeah.
I don't care if he miraculously puts on 240 pounds. It's just looking at this guy, you just want to God, you look like a dork, man.
As for me, I'm hoping that they would show.
Joe's been so quiet. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah. Sorry, Joe.
No, I'm hoping that they would show at least a couple more figures for the Origins line. It would be even nice if they showed, because they said that they're supposed to be having mini comics for every character. Now I'm like, okay, now do you mean that we're just going to have, let's say, 2 different type of mini comics that are going to be packed with X amount of characters, like 6, or will there be actually 6 different mini comics if they show covers? I mean, I would like to see if they're going to show any more like that, and then the possibility that maybe they would have some type of classic figures to show. We're not quite sure, but if there would be some amazing surprise like that. So, but I'm hoping at least with Origins show a couple more figures and maybe at least give us some kind of look at the covers of any of those mini comics, and maybe even the backs, if they're going to do some cool, like Errol McCarthy style. It'd be cool if they got Errol McCarthy to do some more art, just like he did for the other figures. But either way, it'd be nice to see something like that, possibly.
I think it's kind of great that, Joe can't see the chat, and now I'm entirely in control of asking all the questions. And you can tell that he's shaking, and he's like, I don't know what to do with myself. We got Papa Hood 69. Sorry I'm late. I'm watching SummerSlam. And I guess good if you're getting some sort of enjoyment out of the product.
Yeah, don't see how, but
I imagine I'll be doing a transitional champion podcast with Doug later this week, and I'll have to just skim through or look at the results and be like, yeah, that sucked. I guess what to reiterate here with what Adam Gabbert was trying to say in regards to the question asked earlier, because it was the created character for the classics, so there were the 6 that were determined, right? I'm assuming what he's asking here is, would it be great to have one of those people that won one of those slots to determine that?
I would just want 4 Horsemen, just so they could talk about Drago, man. That's the only character I'm interested in.
No, Scott's Abomination, and Jeff Johns piece of shit, and Side Chop. I mean, I don't care if they, you didn't pay them. They just donated their design. If it's not the 4 Horsemen or any of those other designs that didn't get picked up for Castle or Grayskull, man. Yeah, I'm you know what? I'm still lost on what's being asked though.
I just if you guys would think it would be great to have one of those people on as a guest for the show.
Yeah, sure.
I'm not and anybody that I'm just like I
The first question would be Tyler would be like, "Why? What's your mindset and behind where did Joe go?"
why did you make this piece of shit?
Yeah.
I say what?
Well, that's
why
all.
did you think this was a good idea?
Yeah.
This.
Well-
Hold on. I mean, look at this thing. Is there
It's
anything?
falling apart.
I mean, anything exciting or redeeming of this crap kit? God, is this horrible?
Well,
I mean, it's this rip off of a Destro face.
And who came up with this design?
I forgot what his name was. He was
I
a
don't
comic
know.
book artist, I think, that or
God,
something like that. It was.
let's put this in perspective. You got a fake Destro looking face. You got these goofy Edward Scissorhands, this Roboto type thing, fur for the body. It is just a mess of a. Oh, is he supposed to be a member of the Horde? I've never even looked.
Yeah, he's supposed to be a Horde member who was buddies with Trapjaw, according to the shit bio.
What a horrible figure. I mean, I've never seen somebody say, "Hey, look at my side chop," or any fan art. Or God, this is a horrible figure. I'm sorry. There you go, Adam. God.
But yeah, I guess like just someone from the Horsemen. I'm not interested in talking to anybody that contributed, unless it was the people who made Bublor, Rajar, Three Beast, Major Header. They would be fun to talk to, but I'm not. I hated all this design. I still hate them to this day. I hate the fact that they got shoehorned into those downloadable comics like Sir Laser-Lot and
Sir Laser-Lot.
Spectre. Yeah.
What a great name.
Yeah, I just even when Axel drew Sir Laser-Lot next to Hero, I'm like, even Axel could not like. It's Sir Laser-Lot, Axel. Like I no, just no. God, I hate this. I hated it so much, and I hated that you were forced to buy all these figures if you wanted the one. Like if all you wanted was Dragoman, you had to buy Sidechop, Inspector, and Laser-Lot. But you got Fearless Photog. But Adam, I'm really not interested in talking to any of these guys unless it was the Horsemen.
Yeah, Nathan Bittner. I'll admit, Nathan Bittner, who created Fearless Photog, that'd be interesting.
Yeah. But I guess I'm thinking for like Sidechop, Spectre, or Castle Grayskull Man, or like no, I'm not interested at all. Unless hell is because I do wonder. Like I don't think anybody, higher ups. Like I was surprised to know that Val listens to the podcast and things like that. But I don't think people at Mattel listen to this podcast.
Yeah, hey,
I don't think,
dude, you never know.
I mean, look, if we were reaching that far, I think our numbers would be up like drastically high. When some guy is just sitting there doing this, like, look, I got Leech here. This is Leech, and he came out in 1985, and this is the classic version of, and be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll be back next week to point out the obvious.
There we go. Boom, 1,000 views.
Oh, like I said.
Yeah,
we're just
1,000 views for that, but about something that it's just. I feel like if the numbers were bigger, I'd be more inclined to believe that maybe someone at Mattel or something like that listened to this podcast. But
I don't know. There's a part of me that feels like you guys have more of an influence than you think that you do.
Well,
you never.
I don't know. It's nice to think that, but damn it.
Look, hey,
like
Tyler's already breaking his setup back there.
I'm not knocking shit over here, trying to start my own YouTube channel and get my subscribers so I can point out the obvious.
Yeah, Tyler's breaking off for Fans of Power. It's just going to be me and Joe. From
I'm going solo here. I'm here to talk about this bobblehead He-Man here. You see, if you look at it from this, I'm really not fond of the articulation on this bobblehead here. Like it doesn't bob all the way to the left or the right here. And be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Next week I'll be talking about Skeletor, and maybe on my Patreon, if I get enough views and money, I'll do Beastman after that.
That's beautiful, man.
Like I said, it ain't pissing. It's not pissing on the people that worked on these figures. I'm just saying, this is not.
That's good shit.
Really, it's just a bad figure. Laser-Lot. You don't hear anybody talking about Laser-Lot. You don't hear anybody talking about Chop.
Well, and I think it was a consensus. People just did not want those characters, and
yeah.
I mean, I remember I was so grateful, like when Val had Scott Nylick on Roast Google, like. And they asked him, why did you continue with it. And I know Val wasn't trying to be malicious because he's friends with Scott. But I was so glad that he finally just called Scott out on, like, why did you shoehorn this character that was obviously not well received or desired by Marvel because it was used initially as like it's a created character for Marvel that I guess Scott submitted or something and was rejected. So he put it in this. And I know in the end Scott was making fun of the fact that people hated the character. So at least he is aware of it, and he, you know. But it just kind of felt like, yeah, like, you know, to make him a part of the current storyline and an integral part of this and that, it just kind of felt like, you know, that's what bothered me a lot about that too, along with everything else he was doing with the bios and stuff like that. But, you know, I don't want to harp on the past. But what's that?
You know what upsets me is this damn mug. You know why? Because I'm holding it with my right hand, and it's meaningless.
And what are you holding with your left hand, Joe?
Like I said, it's just
It's
you don't
Joe
get to
wearing
show people.
pants.
I guess,
I'm surprised. I don't think anyone asked if Joe was wearing pants on this.
Yeah.
left hand, you get to see it's a Jason mug. It's got a cool machete. Man, I guess looking at myself, I could see it, but it just feels awkward. I'd rather just not drip and have it go down the mask. I'd rather it would have been on this side. I'm not left-handed, so it should have been right-handed. And then if I drink, it'd go down this side.
Wow.
What does that have to do with anything we were talking about?
All right. Well, how about this? I have a question from Sportimus. How would you celebrate the 30th anniversary of New Adventures of He-Man? What did you like about the series? I like the reimagined Power Sword and Skeletor's humor.
Yeah, all right. I'm glad to hear some support for it. I mean, the cartoon storylines. I mean, the voice acting was shit. There's no denying that. But a lot of the animation looked really good. I love the designs of the characters. I love the mutants. I love Karate and Lizor and Hoove and Optic and Flog and Slushhead and Krita. All the Galactic Guardians like Visor, Nocturna, and Ortilla, and so on and so forth. So I love the characters. I like the idea that He-Man is asked or is brought, like there's confusion of this great power in the past, and Hydra and Flipshot go. They don't know what he looks like or what it is. They got to go get it, and they end up bringing both He-Man and Skeletor back to the future. I think just that idea itself is a very interesting storyline, as we've said before, and leaves so many possibilities of what happens on Eternity while they're gone. But you just kind of feel like all these great stories that could be had in this other, galaxy, another universe, another timeline, pretty much. The sword looks great. I like the designs of He-Man and Skeletor. Skeletor does need eyes. I think the toy looks, it's superior to the cartoon itself. But there's a lot of good to be had with that series. And I think if someone was, like, hey, let's try a couple of new stories, like a 3-part miniseries about New Adventures. I think it could be, if it take it seriously, get rid of the scientists and focus on strictly the battle between good and evil. There's so much potential. There really is, people. It just needs to be driven in a much more serious tone. It can't be played for laughs. You can't mock the characters. You got to look at these mutants like these are the new bad guys, and they're badasses. I mean, look at it. And these are the new heroes. It's not Men-at-Arms and Tila and Ram-Man. It's Visor. It's Nocturna. It's Sagittar. It's Tuscador. Like, there's a lot of fun to be had with these characters. There's so many great things you could do with these characters. So maybe someday someone will hear this podcast like, hire that man, and they'll put me on to revitalize He-Man in comic book form with like the traditional storyline, New Adventures. I'll do She-Ra. And I could do a hero, and then I could do hero, son of He-Man. I could do it all. I could do it all.
Starting to swell again. There we go. That's when you need to do something, Nathan, where you expand his screen and all you see is his head.
Oh, yeah, he just goes over top of everything. Shit.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, if I was a wrestler, my finish would be called the Ego Trip.
Oh, God.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
All right.
Well, Joe's finish would be called the Dumpster Dive.
Yep.
Like a flying headbutt off the top, or turnbuckle would be called the Dumpster Dive. Nathan's would be the bottle breaker.
Yep. Yeah, Jesus Christ. Anyway, Tags Media Animation said, say hi to Christina, Savannah, and Scott. Hello.
Christina, Savannah, Scott, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you're enjoying the show, and if we're hopefully I haven't been too naughty on the show here. I'm assuming we're talking to a couple of kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've been pretty good. I don't think I've dropped much this
Yeah,
episode.
we've been pretty well behaved. We haven't really had a real reason to get older or anything like that. But hopefully we're encouraging you to look at the older stuff and realize just because it's old doesn't mean it's like, oh, this doesn't hold up. And you kind of ignore that garbage on Netflix and look up this like much more better written and better animated and just superior shows of animation, and just it allows you to realize that there are some great kick-ass action heroes, male and female, and great villains that you can appreciate and enjoy, and inspires you to just enjoy and seek out quality. Don't feel like you got to settle just because they say this is what you're into. Like, no. Do not settle. Dig, and look for the best. Because your childhood only comes once.
Yeah, and that's why we said it earlier, where I said, like they're writing stuff for kids. That's just, they say this is what kids want to know. That's what they're giving kids, and just know that there's a lot of great stuff that's out there, and that's why we discuss this every week. So you want to go back and watch these cartoon episodes we're talking about, or read the mini comics and know, wow, there were some really amazing stories told back then, and you could see that it wasn't corny, it wasn't campy as much as people want to say that. When you especially compare it to stuff nowadays, where all they do is they're going for laughs and, wasn't that funny every 3 seconds. That's not how it was back then. So you can really see what was the campy stuff, what's the corny stuff, and what's the good story. So, yeah, that's what
I want to throw this out to those kids. I'd like them, if they're regular listeners, I would love them to pick one episode of He-Man or She-Ra and come back next week or at another time and let us know, like, you picked one and, if you liked it. Like, I'm assigning some fun homework for these kids, and they're on YouTube, so you ain't got to go out and buy them if you don't have them. But just watch one episode of He-Man or She-Ra. And you know what? If I'm gonna leave it to your parent, whoever's with you right now, to recommend. If they listen to this podcast, they know episodes that we really like. So, mom, dad, whoever's with the kids, I want them to at least watch one great He-Man episode and one great She-Ra episode, and I want to know their thoughts on that.
Hey, even better still, let them give us a review.
Don't try and one-up me.
Reviews from these kids. And tags, I know you on Facebook, so you go ahead, each of them. Make sure that once they watch whatever episode it is, you can send me through Facebook, and then we can read their reviews live next week right here on Fans of Power.
There we go.
All right.
I want to read a comment that we have here from Michael Gervais. Guys, what an improvement on the look. I'm doing the quotations with my fingers. Look of the show. Love the power surge splitting up the two hosts. It's perfect. So I'm going to pat myself on the back for that one.
I was curious if anybody saw that or if anybody knows.
No, they did. There were a lot of compliments of like, hey, I like how it looks. It was just that struggle at the beginning with it kind of lagging, but it's been steady now for a while, which I'm honestly genuinely proud of and happy about.
Good.
So I'm going to say for now, this is subject to change. We may eventually go to recording them and uploading them, but I would prefer it if we did keep the streaming aspect.
I like
once Joe gets his laptop up and he can acknowledge everybody and read everything in the chat, then
that's part of it though.
Oh, it is.
I know that's what they enjoy. I know that they love the interaction, the experience back and forth. We like it too, so hopefully it can stay somewhat consistent like it is now, because it's something that I think not only I'd miss, I know they'd miss it as well.
Tags Media did say Savannah thinks the new She-Ra sucks, so there you go.
Yeah, all right. She's got a bright future ahead of her.
There you go.
She's going to be valedictorian of her graduating class, high school and in college. I'm predicting that right now.
Tyler will write a letter of recommendation to any college that she wants to go to.
Absolutely, and I'll even be the guest speaker. You know what? I won't even ask for permission or be invited. I'll just show up and just say, like this girl right here. You know what I'm talking about. And just praise the hell out of her, and then like, who the hell are you, sir? I'm on Fans of Power. Who the hell are you?
Febmon said, now if Nathan, would you stop going to those haunted houses? And it's kind of funny because I went into a couple Walmarts today, and there are Walmart exclusive Scooby-Doo figures that are articulated. And I saw the Shaggy one, and I pulled it off the peg, and I looked at Emily, and I was like, they made an action figure of me. How about that?
Did you buy it?
No. Fuck no.
Well, no, they've already done it before. That figure of Grima Wormtongue I mean, when you were in Lord of the Rings, I mean, they've already made you in figure form already.
Yeah, all right, yeah.
I watched One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest recently.
Hell yeah.
Too. I'm like, there's Nathan with like puffy hair.
It just,
Yeah.
pound that red beaver, man.
Yeah. It's a sad film. But
It
I
is,
laughed
but
so much during it.
well, the in between from there, like the ending is infinitely depressing
Very sad.
with what happens,
Yeah.
but everything that goes on before that, it's just Danny DeVito, Danny DeVito, there we go, is like he's one of my favorites in that film because
Hotel.
Yeah, he's just always like he's just got that smile on his face and just staring off into the distance. It's great.
Oh God, classic. But God, I'm like losing my train of thought left and right here.
Well, I mean, at least you can say DeVito properly, right?
Oh yes. Oh, I gotta say, what the hell was going on and on about One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and talk about Nathan being made into a figure and Nathan getting the Shaggy figure. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, there we go.
I had
Bringing
to
it
backtrack
back.
my roots.
Bringing it back.
Yeah.
And
Bringing it all
Tyler
back.
wore a shirt today.
I did wear a shirt for one time only, and I will be back next week sporting a tank top. It could be my Overlord tank top, could be my Predator tank top, it could be a brand new tank top. I've been eyeballing a bunch of kick-ass tank tops, and I still want to get got a couple of designs I want to save for Joe to put together for me as well. So I got some ideas for new tank tops from Transformers and more G.I. Joe, more He-Man, Thundercats, Brave Stars, Silverhawks. There's a bunch of stuff I'm eyeballing to kind of keep the interest alive on my chest. You know what I'm saying?
And speaking of,
I'm using my chest as a billboard. It's free advertising to get people like, what is that?
Well, I was gonna say, speaking of which, if you guys want to click in the description below, feel free to check out Joe Amato's designs on his TeePublic store, and also check out Beyond Retro channel. Tyler and I are gonna be recording some videos. We're gonna do a commentary on a Ninja Turtles episode and G.I. Joe episode next couple days, so be on the lookout for those. All the links are down below. Joe, back to you.
All right. Well, it's weird not seeing, but I can still say what I always say. We appreciate you being here this week. Hope you enjoyed this episode. For anybody new to this channel, make sure you like, subscribe, share, and also ring that bell so you can always be notified when we go live. And we want to thank all of you guys for helping us get to 300 subscribers. I know that for most other people, like, oh, it's nothing, but hell, I mean, it's a great thing.
Dude, that's a lot when you really break it down. You think about where Masters is right now, and it is sort of a niche thing, and not necessarily lost to time and the nostalgia from like the 80s properties, but in a ways sort of is. And you guys being here and subscribing and listening to these guys every week is fantastic. And the fact that week to week that it keeps growing. Every time I log into this account, there's always new subs, there's some comments at least every week. Like, thank you guys for doing everything you do.
We do. We appreciate all of you guys, and that's why I said it means a lot. It really does. So we do appreciate you guys, subbing and listening to us and enjoying us ranting and talking every week. But I think that was it. So I guess until next time, have a powerful day.
See, I was going to give a sentiment about how much I appreciate
it. Well, do it. There's still time. There's still time, and then you give your quote.
But Joe just guillotined me there.
Pretend to take a drink out of your coffee mug. There you go.
He's a great physical comedian there. But no, I mean, it does mean a lot to all 300 people that have subscribed to our channel. I want to thank every one of you for doing that, because it's been a struggle for me and Joe to feel like, the show is gaining momentum with people. And like Nathan said, 300 subscribers is not much in the grand scale of things, or grand scheme of things, when you look at a lot of YouTube channels for people who are just, pointing out the most obvious shit on an action figure, and they've got thousands and thousands and thousands of subscribers. But, again, like Nathan said, we are a niche topic. All we do is focus on He-Man. And most people they're just pointing out obvious shit, and they get praised for it. Hey, yeah, red boots. I didn't see that before. But we offer you something a little bit more in depth. I'd like to think, and you appreciate that. And if you keep tuning in each week or downloading on Podbean or on iTunes or if you just kind of check in every so often because maybe we're not talking about something that's as exciting to you, but you come back later on. I appreciate everybody. Male, female, adult, child. Me and Joe and Nathan, we if you're not subscribing or listening, then it kind of becomes disheartening to not do this. So, so everybody that's listening, it's awesome to know that we hit 300. And it was a big deal to us. It really was. We didn't go out and throw a party and take Joe to a strip bar or something like that. He wouldn't allow us to do that anyway.
You know what? I kind of feel like Joe would. I think it was like, Joe, we'll pay for this. We asked the cooks in the back specifically on the menu. It's like, we'll bring you out some chicken gizzards so you can see them take their clothes off, eat your favorite food. You
think Joe would be like, that's nice. Your name is what? That's great. Well, you can't have my food though. I'm just letting you know you can't have my food.
All that, just don't touch this.
Or he looks up on stage and goes, huh. And goes right back to cutting cottonelle style. Man, what did they put on this? Hey, man, what's my apple pie? That would be just completely oblivious to anything going on that's bouncing in front of his face. He's like, shoot, you bother me.
And as Kevin Sharp is saying, what's up? Thanks, Kevin, for popping in last minute. He says, share, like. And yes, we want to encourage all of you. Like the video, leave comments down below. Share with your friends. Let us know what you think.
And Kevin,
do
you want to come back real soon, bud? If he's in here right now, I'm giving him the invitation to come back and talk He-Man with us.
Hey, Kevin, we're on Skype now, so it might make it a little bit easier. Just throw that out there.
Yeah,
it might be a little more enticing for you. Skype's
I'd
easier in Hangouts, but it's a pain in the ass in OBS.
So, Kevin, if you guys want to have Kevin on maybe in 2 weeks?
Sure, if he can do it, we can do it. Sure. And you give Kevin. I just want to make sure I don't get kicked off here. Hold on.
Kevin Sharp says, hell yeah, if I can do Skype.
All right. See here, people. We'll have Kevin Sharp back, not this coming Sunday, but the following one.
All right. And
we'll just dedicate it to full-on discussion. So.
All right. Well, Tyler, go ahead and throw out your quote.
All right. If you come back in here.
There we go.
I'm going to hit you with so many rights. I'm going to beg for a left.
You're going to hit me with so many rights. I'm going to beg for a left. Joe.
No, you're going to beg for a left.
Oh.
If you come back in here, I'm going to hit you so many rights, you're going to beg for a left.
I don't know why it's saying stream complete right now. What the hell?
It's Chuck Norris. Hold on, I'm trying to think of which one. No, it's Chuck Norris. I know it's Chuck Norris. Oh, come on.
Bruce Lee film?
No. Damn it, was it Invasion USA?
Yes.
No. Yeah, good. Okay, good.
Yay! Invasion USA. Yeah, I think like the stream like dropped out for a second and then came back, which is
awesome.
Which is annoying. So hopefully people caught all of that. All right, so Invasion USA. There we go.
Invasion USA. Yep, that's my quote for the week.
All righty.
All right. See you guys next time.
See you guys.